So, Otaku, it's your tour guide here. We are doing something kind of novel. As you all know, I have a new laptop, and what's been interesting is I've downloaded comics in the past, um, and I've had digital copies of books I've had. But I recently just, with the new laptop, and I kind of been taking a break from, buying comics and all that. So in this kind of lull period, I've got a lot of sort of time I spend after work and stuff. I've been targeting like Superman books to just get digital copies of, and I pretty much have downloaded a lot of the volume 1 of Superman, most of the volume 2 of Superman. Action is kind of a big, I you have to individually download the Action Comics one. So I've just been starting with the issues that I have. And I thought, you know what, this would be really fun because I really don't find too much time to read comics. And these are a lot of these back issue ones I've never read. So I'm reading this for the first time with you here live. And I just thought it would be a fun project to start. And we're just going to start with the comics in my collection. Now, I'm not going to read them sequentially. I'm going to try to pick and choose whatever I feel like reading. So if something's compelling enough to be like, oh, I got to see what happens in the next issue, kind of situation, we can do that. We can prepare um, the next issue. But let's just jump right in and get started because I think this is going to be a lot of fun um, in terms of, for me at least, because like I said, I've been meaning to read my comics and kind of get to know the history of the character more intimately. Um, and yeah, what better time than the present to just kind of jump in and so I'm going to be largely focusing on my favorite character. Now we'll mix in other comics here and there, but for the most part, we're going to try to just focus on Superman books. And fortunately, I've taken some time to download a lot of the Action Comics, most of the Action Comics in my collection. In fact, all of them, I think. All the Superman Volume 1 and Volume 2 in my collection. I've managed to download the entire, catalog of Lois Lane comics. So we have that. And what else do I have? I think I have Supergirl comics. I have the Volume 1 of Supergirl comics also. So we've got a lot of comics to just read. That right there is just a handful. I haven't even bothered with like getting into the Jimmy Olsen stuff or the adventure comics. We may do that. Oh, I also have the Superboy. I have downloaded Volume 1 of Superboy. I think 100 or so issues, 150, 200 issues or so of Superboy. So we've got quite a volume of books to just focus on, and this could just, this could be the stuff we do week to week from here on out. And then when we pick up books, we could try to read those books as well as we pick them up. But today's feature, as you can see here, is Action Comics 244. And let me give you some background on 244. There's the thing about these older back issue comics, we're talking Silver and Golden Age and Bronze Age for the most part as well. You had multiple stories in these books. And so when you have multiple stories, you have different sets of creators. And fortunately for us, we are only going to focus on the story, Superman story, or the main Superman story. which was written by Otto Binder. And as you know, Otto Binder is just well. First off, we've got quite the all-star cast here on this book. Um, this was published in September of 1958. Action Comics, Volume 1, 244. The executive editor was a gentleman named Whitney Ellsworth. The cover artist, Kurt Swan, the great Kurt Swan, inked by Stan Kay. And we are going to be reading a tale called, let me just get that going here for us. We're going to be reading a tale called Super Merman of the Sea. And I kind of gave a preview of this in my last video, but we're going to jump right in and I'm going to read. But before we get to that, just wanted to let you know this was written by Otto Binder. It was penciled by the legendary Wayne Boring, inked by Stan Kay, and the editor was Mort Weisinger on Superman, the Super Merman of the Sea. Okay, so let's get right into this. This is got our first page here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of zoom it so you can see it better. What if Superman were not around to patrol Metropolis and the world for crime and danger? What would it be like on Earth without the Man of Steel on the job? Everyone finds out one incredible day when Superman mysteriously becomes an undersea exile and abandons the upper world. For what incredible reason does the Man of Steel patrol underwater only? In the Super Merman of the Sea. Great Scott, Superman has been living underwater for weeks, and by the looks of things, especially that huge castle he built, he'll never return to the upper world. Faster, Mr. Finney Steeds. Faster, my Finney Steeds. Time to patrol the seven seas. We'll go to the next page here. At the Daily Planet, one day, reporter Clark Kent bids his fellow workers goodbye. So long, Perry, Lois, and Jimmy. Don't work too hard while I'm gone. Have a good vacation, Clark. Guess you'll be glad to get away from the city for 2 weeks. But returning to his apartment, Clark changes to his other secret guise of Superman. Little do they know I'll still be around patrolling Metropolis and the world as usual during those 2 weeks. Little does Superman know how wrong he is. Shortly, his telescopic vision picks up a strange sight at sea. Is that a meteor? It looks like a rocket. I'll rush there and check up on it. Moments later, here's where the rocket dove down. Was it an experimental pilotless rocket that went out of control? Far down at the sea bottom, the answer is much more startling. A man and girl are trapped inside. I'll rush the rocket up to the surface and open it so they won't drown. Amazingly, a telepathic voice halts the Man of Steel. Stop, Earthman. Do not take us up into your air. We would die like fish out of water. Please open our jammed door down here. Great guns. Can you breathe water? Yes, we came from the water world, which has no land at all. We've always lived underwater. I am Volcor, and this is my daughter, Layla. A merman and mermaid? I'll interview them and find out why they came to Earth. After hearing their strange tale, Superman fails to return to the upper world, and 3 days later, we bring you a special bulletin. Ships have reported Superman flying out to sea, but not returning. What has happened to the Man of Steel? Meanwhile, under the sea, to explain my absence from the upper world, I'll form a message out of the names of sunken ships. Presently, parts of those names will form the words I need. I can obtain my signature by using the prows of the Lake Superior and the SS Manhattan. Later, at the surface, a ship pauses when it spies the floating message. Great Scott, will inform the authorities. Perhaps kryptonite dust tainted the Earth's atmosphere, forcing Superman to remain underwater. Am undersea exile, Superman. But this is not the real reason. What is? Then you will remain undersea with us, Superman. Yes, Volcor, it is the only wise thing to do. I will abandon the upper world forever. Meanwhile, as a scientist makes tests of Earth's atmosphere, strange, there's not a trace of kryptonite dust in the air. But that's the only thing that could keep Superman exiled undersea. When Jimmy Olsen, cub reporter, brings the news to Superman's other friends at the Daily Planet, what a mystery. What else could prevent Superman from returning to the upper world? He's been down undersea for a week. But why? Why? And we can't search for him. We don't know which part of the ocean he's in. As the teletype clatters, this is odd. Transatlantic planes reported seeing water violently swirling near the Sargasso Sea. Go and check on it, Jimmy. Okay, Chief, I'll use the flying newsroom. When the helicopter reaches the spot, jeepers, what kind of deep sea forces are causing that angry water? Luckily, with the pontoons, I can land nearby. Jimmy also had the foresight to hire equipment and an expert helper. I'm going down in this diving suit. You'll keep the air pump going for me. After the daring young newshawk dives far below, holy cow, I've stumbled on Superman himself. He's hollowing out some strange building in the side of this undersea cliff, and the forces generated by his superpowers are what caused the water to rage. Wow, it's an undersea fortress of solitude, just like the one Superman already has on land near the North Pole. Superman's fortress of solitude, submarines and divers keep out. Superman flashes away, and upon his return, he's starting to fill it with ocean relics. I found this among the ancient ruins of a sunken city. It's a statue of the king of Atlantis. When Superman spies his young pal, he's waving for me to go away as if he doesn't want me around. Has he forgotten his friends in the upper world? I'll signal my helper to pull me up. After Jimmy goes, Superman constructs astounding scientific devices in his undersea retreat. This super crystallizer I built extracts precious elements that are dissolved in seawater along with common salt. Besides silver, radium, magnesium, and such, there are 84 pounds of pure gold in each cubic mile of water. And this electronic 7C scanner will enable me to keep check on all the Earth's oceans. Even more incredible, I've sent my guided missile whale out to gather unknown deep sea specimens for me to study. They're unharmed after having been swallowed by the mechanical whale. Meanwhile, Jimmy Olsen returns to the office to drop his bombshell news. Jeepers, why would Superman build himself a new sea bottom headquarters unless he planned to spend his life there? Great Caesar's ghost. Is it possible that he is deserting the upper world for good? To Lois Lane, the thought is crushing. But I hope to marry Superman someday. He must come back. I'm going to get to the bottom of this crazy riddle somehow. Intrepidly, the girl reporter arranges for a deep descent into the watery unknown. This bathysphere will lower me near the same place where Jimmy dived. I must find out the truth. What in the world is keeping Superman down here? Lois gets a shocking clue. Oh my goodness, Superman is with a mermaid. They act as if they're in love. If Lois doubts her own wild guess proved positive soon, lies before her incredulous eyes. Oh no, no, he built her a castle, and that sign means he's going to marry her. And by the smile on her face, I guess he's using telepathy to tell her so. Home of Mr. and Mrs. Superman. Surprise, Lila, this will be our cozy nest when you become my bride. It has running water through all the rooms. He also built two thrones so they can reign together later in his undersea kingdom. And Superman filled the treasure room with priceless bridal gifts, huge pearls from giant deep sea clams. I've seen enough. And as the bathysphere rises, Lois sobs in anguish. So so that's why Superman has forsaken the upper world. After their marriage, his mermaid wife couldn't breathe air and live above. So Superman chose to live underwater with her. Can this be why Superman has abandoned his former friends for the love of a mermaid from another world? Now for a ride in the undersea chariot I built. Faster, my dolphin steeds, don't spare the fins. Lois Lane's report rocks the world. Soon, at an emergency session of the United Nations, we do not believe that Superman has forsaken the upper world. We have a theory he has been forced against his will to stay underwater. To learn the truth, we must get him here in person. We will use this kryptonite we recently confiscated from the international criminals. We'll launch a sea dragnet to capture him for an official hearing before the World Court. Before long, a fleet of submarines combs the depths. Superman. There's Superman. Fire number 3. Oh my gosh, the warhead of that torpedo is glowing. They're hunting me with kryptonite. Can I escape? I eluded that one, but they'll keep firing. That squid gives me an idea. Luckily, I remembered this sunken wreck that carried a cargo of crude oil, which is black, like ink. Where's Superman? That black ink cloud is only a big squid. That's what they think. They'll cruise on losing me. But later, as a destroyer fleet uses sonar, the radar beam of underwater detection, super target below, prepare to drop kryptonite depth charges. I expected this. I'll use my control box and slip away from them. It's a whale of an idea. Shortly before the depth charges can be released. Wait, object below is too huge to be Superman. I'm safe thanks to being swallowed by my mechanical whale. His super wits save the Merman of Steel from all other units of the Sea Dragnet. A super spin of this old ship propeller will churn the water and rock the bathysphere that came a mile down to find me. Oh, getting seasick, signal them to haul us up. Finally, the Dragnet gave up, as my telescopic vision shows, now to help Volcor finish his mission on Earth. Superman, thanks for helping me build this infracoil. Will you be sorry to see all the Earthlings wiped out? Presently, Superman reveals himself to be a willing partner to a ruthless plot against the upper world hatched by Volcor. No, Volcor, I owe them no allegiance. After all, I was born on another world myself, Krypton. The human coil will hurl a superheat ray at Earth's poles as the ice caps melt. Floodwaters will deluge the continents, drowning the Earth forever. Human civilization will sink without a trace. Then my sea breathing people can colonize this new water world. Thus, we will conquer Earth without having to use our space warships and drop super bombs. It's a good thing my daughter's charm swayed you into throwing in with us, Superman. Now I'll start the infracoil. 0 hour is here. Suddenly, oof, I, I've become strangely weak. Perhaps I've worked too hard. You pull the lever for me, Superman. Will Superman do this traitorous deed, casting aside all loyalty to the world that had adopted and honored him? Go ahead, my love. You must do it to prove that you care nothing for the Earthlings. Do you doubt me? I'll show you. This can't be. There, the infracoil is heating up. In a minute, it will be ready to shoot out its long-range heat ray and melt the North Polar ice cap. I'm still weak. What's wrong? But you go and check if the heat ray is working, Superman. Nothing must prevent the flooding of the Earth. Nothing, that is, except me. I previously prepared this giant glass lens and hid it here. It all worked. I fooled Volcor into thinking I had turned into a super traitor. This special lens converts the infracoil's ray into harmless rainbow colors. The polar ice cap won't melt. But I couldn't just drive Volcor away right at the start. In revenge, he would have signaled his vast fleet of space warships to attack the Earth with super bombs. So, to avoid needless bloodshed, I posed as his ally. To gain Volcor's complete trust, I pretended to desert the upper world because I had fallen in love with Lila. Now to watch my scheme work, forcing them to leave Earth forever. Can you guess Superman's clever trick? We're in deadly danger, Lila. A quick analysis shows why I turned weak. This earthly water is poisonous to us. Let us leave quickly, Father. Back to our water world. We must never try to conquer Earth. Its seas contain a poisonous chemical that would destroy our race, a substance the Earth people call salt. My scheme worked. Volcor doesn't know his people could live in ordinary seawater, but an overdose of salt is as deadly to his race as kryptonite is to me. Presently, at the undersea fortress, I built the fortress machine so that I could conceal big blocks of salt in them. The dissolving salt saturated the water in this vicinity far more than normal, causing Volcor to become weak. At the castle, I purposely gave gifts to Lila because each of them had also contained dissolving salt blocks. I suspected excess saltiness would be as poisonous to them as it is to fish. No fish, for instance, can live in Great Salt Lake. Soon as a joyous captive escapes his watery prison, the infracoil burned out, now back to Metropolis. Luckily, nobody will connect my undersea exile with Clark Kent's absence on vacation. The next morning, when Superman Kent, reports to the office, Superman explained everything. Luckily, he wasn't really in love with that mermaid hussy. By the way, Clark, I'll bet you wish you were back at the seashore on your vacation, eh? Superman reveals undersea ruse. Not really, Lois. I've had enough swimming to last me a year. The end. All right. Well, that was fun. The Super Merman. Um, that was Action Comics 244. Hey, Damien, what's up? Uh, Hope you can continue on with these. I had fun doing that. That was pretty good. Um, First off, like I have the opportunity to read comics on my own, right? Like sit in bed and read. Oftentimes when I start a comic, I'll get sleepy in the middle, or sometimes, you know, I'll start a book and just not have the motivation to continue and finish the story. Um, and that's more so for like these older books, because I just find like the older stories, especially some of like the Silver Age Marvel, the Silver Age books in general, um, they're just very they're fun books. Don't get me wrong, they're great stories, they're fun books, but they're just kind of ridiculous. And so, I grew up uh, really in the best comic book era, in my opinion, which is like the mid to late 80s, or sorry, early to late 80s and the early 90s, right? This is probably the best period for comic books in terms of um, the kinds of stories. They were a little bit more adult oriented, grittier. Um, Definitely, based in sort of more dramatic fashion, like kind of like movie type scenarios. So it was a lot of fun. And yeah, some of the older books, it's hard to like, they're hard reads to maintain your interest and stuff like that. So this is kind of fun. I think it's a good thing for the channel moving forward. So we've got our first book under the belt. You're going to see more Otaku reads his comics with the comic and the description. So if you like this video and you want to see more, just click like, hit subscribe, and get notified for my next. I'll just pop on whenever I feel like reading a comic book. And I'll try to keep this separate from what I do on the Friday show, like Otaku Weekly, where we talk like comic books and whatnot. So it's going to be kind of its own thing. I'll try to, maybe we'll keep a Sunday cadence. I think it's good to just read a book right before the work week starts. So we'll do that moving forward. But thanks for catching the first Otaku Reads His Comics, Action 244, my earliest action comics in the collection. And we'll be back with another comic, and we'll read that together as well. All right. Peace out. See you in the next one.